Hello people, and welcome to another video made by UFO and Conspiracy Info. This is Jamie, and I'm going to start a series on water on Mars. What you're looking at here on the screen is not water on Mars. This photograph was actually taken on the Earth, and it's very obvious what you're looking at here. And the reason I'm showing you this is because, and you'll see why in just a moment, I want you to take a look at this picture and just kind of say to yourself, what do you see? Now, what you say you see, there'll be no question. No one will question you as to what you see because you've got you've got knowledge and experience on the Earth. You know what's on the Earth, so you don't even need to go there and experience it for yourself because you know that you're looking at sand, you're looking at water, you're looking at rocks, you're looking at a hill on the horizon, and it's very clear what you're seeing. No one will question it. However, if you see an image like this, okay, you would say the same thing unless you were told that this image was taken on Mars. This image is taken on Mars by the Opportunity Rover, and it's an image that you can view and download yourself on the NASA JPL website on the photojournal. It's image PIA12452. So it's a completely genuine image. Now, I actually asked my wife, who knew nothing about what I was researching, and I asked her to come into the room and take a look at this image and tell me what she sees. She did not know that it was an image on Mars. I didn't put any suggestions into her head. I just asked her the plain, simple question, what do you see when you look at this picture? And she described a little pool and, perhaps a larger lake or ocean behind and some rocks. I also asked my 7-year-old son, and he said the same thing. Now, NASA say that this is false colours, even though it's a genuine photograph. They use like filters and lenses and what have you to create like false colours. Now, what I put to you is that Mars is it's a very reddish tinge to all the photography. In this image, I believe that the reddish tinge is not there, but you're actually looking at not an image that makes it in any way, shape or form misrepresentative of what you're seeing. I think you're seeing a more genuine image. If you take a closer look, what you'll see is that there are like ripples on the water. You see the sand through the water. You see the sand here the closer you look, the more it's a very authentic view of the water. That to me, it just looks like the wind kind of blowing over the surface of the water and creating ripples. There's no doubt in my mind that this is water. Okay, so it begs the question, is there water on Mars? Okay, so let's talk about that for just a second. Okay, because if there's absolutely no water on Mars whatsoever, then you could look at this and think, okay, well, hey, we'll just look at some strange coloured sand or, something like that. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. Now, this is an artist's impression of Mars 4.3 billion years ago, because to my knowledge, we didn't have any cameras and we didn't go out to Mars and take photographs 4.3 billion years ago. This is obviously an artist's impression, but it's from the NASA website. I'm going to put the link below, as I will for the image on Chocolate Hills, the one that you just saw. This one here, that's going to be on the description below, so you can check it out for yourself. But this one also, and this comes from a NASA website. It was written by a NASA employee, very renowned. All the information is on my blog and in the description. Okay, it's what they reckon is that there was vast oceans on Mars 4.3 billion years ago. In fact, there was more water on Mars than we have in our Arctic Ocean today. A lot of water, a lot of ocean, and that's what Mars once looked like. And so where did the water go? That's the big question. Where did it go? Well, NASA will tell you, and this is where I now get into disagreement with NASA, as I'm not alone. I'm no one special. Many people do. Okay, because NASA says that all the water vanished into space, it all evaporated into space, which is obviously true. The water has obviously gone somewhere because we don't have those oceans on Mars today, because we would see it very clearly. So that's true because of the low atmospheric pressure. So what happens is there's low temperatures, so any water that exists is ice. and then it just goes straight from ice into vapor and off into space because the atmosphere is so thin. Okay. However, like NASA would have you believe that every drop of water is vanished into space. There's none left apart from a trace. Now, they do say there's traces of water in the atmosphere. There's traces of water in the ground, but they would deny that there's any like sort of lakes or rivers or streams or anything like that. Okay. And you know why? You know why they would say that? Because you know what? What are the implications of there being like a good bit of water? If there's a good bit of water on Mars, then you're talking about vegetation, trees, you're talking about plant life. You're talking about life, the odds of life, just, there's a lot of potential there. We're talking about a potentially habitable planet if there was a lot more oxygen. I mean, we're told that there's like a trace of oxygen. It's obviously not breathable air, but we're talking about a way greater potential for life if there's water on Mars, okay? So, as I was saying, the state of the water on Mars is obviously ice as a solid, liquid water, or vapor. Okay, and here's a graph taken from the University of Copenhagen. You'll see it on my blog. And Mars we have here, it shows here, even with the low atmospheric pressure, it's at the triple point where it is not out of the question for there to be liquid water. Now, the thing about Mars is that, yes, there's low atmospheric pressure, but it's not going to be like uniform all right throughout the planet. The temperature obviously varies depending what part of the planet you're on, and obviously there's seasons as well. Okay, so there is potential for liquid water. As well as ice, and there's evidence of that, which you'll see in my blog. Okay, now this is what I want to show you. This is something very interesting as well. Okay, this is a very simple example. I'm not showing you a lake or a river or anything. I'm just showing you something very simple which speaks volumes. Okay, look at this. This is the tracks from a rover on Mars. Now, this is one image, but you can see many. You Google it. You check out NASA's own website. Look at all the photojournal images of the rover. You'll see that the rover leaves tracks. Now, I'm sorry, but that is not a trace of water in the ground. Okay, so the ground might be dry to touch, but I'm telling you that there is more than a trace of water in there. If a ground was completely bone dry and you drove a wheel over it with some grip and you got some track there to imprint in the ground, it's not going to leave a track of its bone dry. It's not going to. You might see like a tiny, faint little track, but you're not going to see big indentations and real defined traction on the ground unless there was some moisture in the ground. So there's a good bit of moisture there in the ground, and if it's right throughout the ground, if there's tracks being left all over the place, then there's obviously more than a trace of water in the Martian ground. Okay, well, that's my opinion anyway. Okay, so I believe that there is water on Mars, and I'm going to be investigating it further. We've just seen one instance, which obviously NASA denies that this is water, but you make up your own mind. You decide for yourself. I mean, you look at this, okay? What do you believe? What do you believe this is? When you compare this with this, I mean, we see from photographs on Mars all the time the similarities, how similar it looks to Earth. Like you take the Earth desert, you take the desert in Mars, looks so similar. Anyway, so it's worth further investigation. If you type in lakes on Mars into Google and check out the images, now some of these are artist impressions, some of these are probably completely fraudulent, fake. Some of them will be genuine. Maybe they've just like kind of not messed with the image, but messed with the color just to kind of take away that red tinge and kind of bring out the water thing. And you know what? There's so many claims of water on Mars, okay? And I encourage you to investigate it for yourself. I'm certainly going to be doing the same. And we're going to see more examples to come on my blog, apart from just this one example. I think this is a great example, but there'll be more to come. And thank you for listening.